At the end of every day, look at yourself in the mirror and ask, did I get better today? Monday, get better. Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better. If you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how much better will you be? Are you getting better every single day? That's the real question. And it all comes down to taking small steps. You don't have to accomplish everything in one day or even 1 week. Just focus on getting a little better every single day.
All right, guys, and welcome back to another discussion of Real Estate AF, where the AF stands for And Finance, and I'm your host, Mark Jones, and we are powered by LoanBot, smarter mortgage matching, now available on the App Store and Apple Play. And today I'm joined by Christopher Waters with 2 T's, CEO of Waters International Realty and founder behind Tables OS powered by RealSync. Chris has built a scaled and serious real estate operation, growing Waters International Realty into a multi-market business and becoming known for his systems-driven approach to real estate team growth. His work focuses on helping real estate teams stop chasing more leads and start fixing the real estate issues, standards, accountability, follow-up, and coaching, along with execution. Through Tables OS, Chris is now helping team leaders and brokers build what he calls performance enforcement system, a way to make sure agents are not just getting leads, but actually working them correctly, following the process, improving conversations and conversions, and operating like a true business. So without further ado, I'll be bringing on Christopher Waters. Bang. What's happening, dude?
Hey, Mark, thanks so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely, man. And sorry you couldn't be here in person, but I can feel you through the screen here, man.
Well, I didn't realize you were so close.
Yeah, right down the street. I would call it a stone throws away. But yeah, and matter of fact, in let's say the next 10 years, our 2 markets may merge together anyway.
But yeah, it's going to be like DFW, one big.
That's right.
Market.
That's exactly right. So, Chris, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. I just read a monologue kind of putting you on this pedestal, and rightfully so, man. So if you could just tell our listeners, and again, our listeners are going to be realtors, lenders, and home buyers, some homeowners, but mostly real estate and mortgage professionals. So go ahead, take it away, brother.
Man, so this marks 20 years in real estate for me. I graduated from Texas State, which is right in between the two of us, in between Austin and San Antonio. And as a young 21-year-old, probably like most out there that were in their early 20s at some point, you know, I was always interested in real estate, and I had a lawn mowing business to pay my way through college. And I had this customer that when I was graduating was asking me what I was going to do when I graduated. And I was going on these job interviews, and, you know, I was sitting in these interviews, and I got this weird feeling over me. Like, I feel like the people that were interviewing me, like, I felt like they should be working for me and not the other way around. And, I think that was kind of I had some other aha moments when I think I had realized like I was unemployable. I'd gotten fired from my first job at Circuit City in high school.
Circuit City, man, that's throwback-tastic right there.
In the late 90s, eBay.com launched. And at Circuit City, you got 60% off car audio equipment. And so I was like, man, what a great idea would be to go get my 60% discount and then put it up on eBay for sale.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a high school kid, and I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. And so I started buying car audio stuff, amps, speakers, all kinds of stuff. And then one day I got called into this room with the store manager and this guy that sounded like a criminal investigator on speakerphone. And they said, hey, do you know why we're pulling you in here? And I said, I have no earthly idea whatsoever. And they said, well, you have bought more than 10 times the amount of your income in car audio equipment in the last 3 months. And you just need to come clean and tell us now if you've been embezzling product to make money. And if there's some scam you're doing, and if you tell us now, we won't call the police and put you in jail. And I was like, man, I ain't doing nothing like that. I have stolen nothing. I ain't doing nothing. Like, I'm working and I'm selling y'all stuff. And I was like, I haven't been doing nothing wrong. And they're like, all right, well, we want you to look at this list of equipment you've been purchasing. And I didn't really realize how much I had bought. But do you remember back in the day, the computer screens were like green text and like the black background, right? Do you remember that?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And so like they start pulling up, this list of all this stuff, and it's like page after page after page after page.
Those are the ones where they'd print it, and on the left and right side, they'd have to pull off the tabs.
Yes. So they're like, well, how are you buying all this stuff? And I'm like, well, I'm buying it. And then, I'm selling it. I said, there's nothing in your policy and procedures manual that says I can't do this. It says like, as long as I'm buying it for myself or for friends and family, I can do it. And I said, I'm buying all this stuff for myself. And so long story short, I got fired on the spot, and they sent out a national company memo.
Wow.
About how they were updating their policy and procedures manuals, and they're no longer allowing employees to buy stuff for themselves and resell it on platforms like ebay.com. So that was one of my first little lessons that I wasn't very good as an employee. So anyways, I graduate college, I joined this real estate team, and I started, selling a lot of homes really quickly. But I'm like this young 21-year-old that's like, way too arrogant and not coachable at all. And I had a great team leader who was trying to help me be humble and teach me. But I was just a bad student. And so I left Keller Williams, which I have a ton of respect and appreciation for KW. But I left that company. I went to go work for another like boutique brokerage shop where I, thought all my problem would be solved if I hired commission split. And I didn't have any restrictions because I wouldn't be on a team. And so I go join this team, and, to be honest, I realized how bad I sucked. I knew I needed to spend a lot of time on the phone, like prospecting and booking appointments. And so I was really disciplined and committed to spending, 3 to 4 hours a day on the phone. And I was like, man, hell or high water, I'm going to figure out how to do this. And for like 6 months, I just kept falling on my face. Like I would literally spend like 20 to 30 hours a week on the phone and get lucky to book 1 or 2 face-to-face meetings with prospective clients. And then I'd go on like 5 appointments and I'd be lucky to get 1 deal. Right. And so the first 6 months was very challenging and very humbling. And I went and got sales coaching and put it on a credit card, and I was broke as a joke. And everything in my world started to change. Like I was at that point very humble and like open to learning.
Sure.
And, I get sales coaching. I start, now instead of booking 1 appointment a week, I was booking 1 to 2 appointments a day. And, instead of taking 1 listing out of 5, I was winning 2 out of 3. And I got to a point where I was selling 10, 11, 12, 13 homes a month. Mm. And so in 2010, in the summer of 2010, I was like, man, I'm going to go start my own team. I have all these leads coming in. And I was like, I'm going to go teach all these other agents how to go sell, 100 houses a year. And so anyways, I recruit 20 agents in the summer of 2010. And a year goes by, and I get a call in the summer from my CPA, and like April, May, whatever. He's like, hey, Chris, good news. You don't really owe hardly any money in taxes. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, I made a couple $100,000 in commissions. He's like, well, it looks like you spent a lot of money on a lot of different things. And I looked, I wasn't really tracking my numbers or anything. And so that year we sold 98 homes, and me and one other guy sold 80 of the 98. And the other 18 agents sold 18 homes. So I did what I did before. I got a sales coach, or I got a coach to help me, try to learn how to get better at building a team, because I was very humbled, to say the least, after falling on my face. And I was blaming the agents. I was like, the agents don't want to make calls. Like, they're not doing what I tell them and all this stuff. And the coach says to me, like, Chris, these agents don't suck. You suck. He's like, you have no proven roadmap to you don't have anything documented. You have no roadmap to show them how to be successful. Yeah. You're giving them these internet leads, which are complete garbage. because most internet leads have these really crazy low conversion rates. And you have no process in place to like make sure you select the right people. So I burned the whole thing down and like went, took his advice and went all in on figuring those 3 things out. And we took off like a rocket ship. Like 2 years later, I netted over $1 million in all, like after all expenses. And we did 325 closings, over $100 million in sales. And this is selling like $180,000 homes back then.
Yeah. Back then. Absolutely. Now, I don't want to stop you, but you mentioned something that I want to hone in on that's discussed just about every other discussion that I've had thus far on this podcast, which is the idea of coaching.
Just for the record, I'm not a coach. I ain't here.
No, you're good. Don't claim to be one, right? But it's amazing how when we as top producers hit these walls, these roadblocks, and we hire a coach or we employ a coach or we have a trusted confidant, accountability partner, take a look at it they have the best intentions and they just completely dismantle what we're doing. And at times that's very vulnerable for the top producer because we're control freaks. We want to do it all, et cetera. But then when you have somebody take that bird's eye view of what you're doing, it's a completely different perspective from someone that wants you to succeed. I mean, they tell you the right advice, you continue paying, same concept with a tool or anything else that works itself. Yep. I just wanted to hone in on that. Go for it. Keep going, brother.
Yeah, dude, coaching has been like having coaches, advisors has been single-handedly like the greatest shortcut to success for me, without a doubt. So anyways, we got the team, like grew it super fast, made a bunch of money. And in 2013, I was like, man, let's start seeing if we can do this in other markets. So we took our operational playbook and we started helping other agents go from 25 deals to 300 plus deals annually. And
wow.
We helped, I've lost track, honestly, of how many people we've worked with, but we partner like really closely with 18 different groups. And I've been going to these masterminds and all these conferences for years and years. And back during that time frame, 2013, 2014, 2015, everybody's asking me like, hey, how did you grow so fast? I've never heard of anybody growing from, 0 to 325 closings in 2 years and netting $1 million.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this book. I wrote it like 8 years ago. And it was just like a little story about that very, specific time period of the business. And I'm happy to give this away for free to your audience. Like,
please, yeah, man.
Hold on. This. I actually have the book on my desk. This is it, by the way.
There you go. Let me put you front and center for everybody. Boom, boom. There you go.
Yeah.
$1 Million Real Estate Team.
Yeah. So I was inspired by Gary Keller's book. And what I realized is the business needs to be a lot bigger than what's written out in the org chart Gary suggests. Because like if one person leaves in that org chart, like you basically own a job again.
Yeah.
Because it's a very skinny org chart. And so it's, I wrote this 8 years ago. There's so many things I would change after writing this, but anyways, it was that 3-year journey for us from going, from 0 to earning $1 million after expenses. And, it outlines basically like, what we've learned from helping grow teams and specifically like what that roadmap looks like to grow a team. That's what the book's about. I have a special landing page I set up for like friends.
Yeah.
And so people can go there. Like you can buy this book on Amazon. We've sold, it's not like Gary Keller's book. Unfortunately, we haven't sold 1 million copies like Gary Keller's, but
it's all good.
I've had about 30,000 team owners buy this book.
That's awesome. Wow.
And I've had about 500 to 600 like team owners physically drive down to come see our operation down in Austin. But I set up a landing page for people that just want to get the book for free. And
what is the site name for that?
So it's a long domain name. We set this up years ago. It's $1,000,000realestateteam.com. So it's just a landing page to go get the book for free. Again, you can go on Amazon and you can pay, whatever, $10, $15 plus shipping if you want to get on Amazon. But anyways, I give that landing page to people if they want to get a copy for free. So anyways, it was, it's basically our blueprint of like scaling a team to doing hundreds and hundreds of deals really quickly. And it just talks about like some of the key unlocks to make that happen. And some of the things we've learned from helping a lot of people do it. So anyways, yeah. So here we are to present day. I've, let's see, 6-7 years ago, built a leadership team to run the whole brokerage. And I've spent the last
6-7.
6-7. Kids love that, man. I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, so they're doing 6-7.
Yeah, man. I got a 9 and a 12-year-old. Yeah, so same thing. Yep.
Actually, they say, Dad, it's not cool anymore.
That's exactly what they tell me, and I'm like, I'm gonna wear it out till it's 6 feet under, guys.
Yeah,
you started it.
That's exactly what I told them. Well, so I basically, I got another coach and advisor because I kind of felt like I hit this wall. And the, advisor coach told me, Chris, you need to go hire like a really sophisticated team of leaders, head of sales, head of marketing, head of operations, a president. Like you need to get some like really highly talented people that have already been where you want to go, like have taken a company from 10 million to 50 million to $100 million in like real revenue, not sales volume, but like real revenue. Right. So spent 2019, 2020 doing that and kind of worked myself out of a job. And so I started this, I needed another project. So I started this tech company and, I've just been, obsessed with like sales conversion and like, how do I help more people sell more homes and how do I help more people have access to coaching because it's been such a game changer for me.
Sure.
And I don't have a coaching business. I don't, people can't, I'm not like going to sign someone up, be a coaching client or whatever. But, there's just been like this phenomenal thing happening in the world called AI the last 2 years. And we, created this mobile app for agents and it's an AI sales coach. And so it's, it's pennies compared to what a real coach costs. And it digests the phone calls the agents make. And it transcribes them, and then it grades them. I apologize. I got a dog back.
You're good. I've got 4 of them. We're golden.
I got. We got two puppies in my house, and thought maybe it was bad. I thought I was going to do this from my office, but I was like, oh, I'll be quiet.
Dude, you're totally fine. I could edit that after and post, but I'll leave it in. People love that.
Something I had this like massive epiphany as it relates to sales conversion. And it's been one of the biggest epiphanies of my career is that, lead conversion dies or thrives at like 2 key points.
Okay.
And it's very simplistically, it's like on the phone when you talk to the prospect and face to face. Like it's those 2 interactions that like literally cause conversion to die or thrive.
That's right.
And so it's like in the sales coaching world, like one of the biggest struggles, I kept hearing about with people that read the book was, they said they had a hard time finding their first sales leader to like help them grow their business further, their team. And so, I had like 500 plus teams fly down and they're all like, asking me, what are you guys doing differently? What are you all doing differently? And like, it just kind of like dawned on me like a ton of bricks, like what we were doing that like really helped us grow. And like, this is why I regret and why I think I need to rewrite the book because I didn't talk about this in the book. And it's that like the thing we were doing back then is we were like super disciplined about listening to the calls the agents made and like giving them real-time feedback. So like when they did get a lead on the phone, like they were asking the right questions and talking to somebody and meeting somebody that was like ready, qualified, and capable of, buying or selling.
Sure.
And then the other thing we were doing was, we didn't do this just at the onboarding process. We did this like in perpetuity after we hired someone. We were doing virtual ride-alongs. I'm sorry. We were doing ride-alongs. Like we would physically go with the agents every month on appointments.
Super smart.
Just to make sure that they were like following the process. And the way I learned about how important this was, and I don't know, I guess I just thought it was the norm in our industry, was my wife worked for these high rises in downtown Austin and these, for these luxury apartment communities. And my wife would always tell me about getting mystery shopped. Like they like religiously mystery shop the leasing agents like once a month, every month. They mystery shop them on the phone, and then they mystery shop them in person. And they would get these like scorecards. And my wife was like so conscious about like, you know, especially like the weeks preceding like getting her scorecards, like to make sure she would ask the right questions on the phone.
Oh yeah.
And skip things in person. And so I remember her telling me that, and so that's, you know, it dawned on me like this is an important piece for us to make sure we help agents learn. Because what I didn't really share with you in the story was like that first year from 2010 to 2011, when I said I hired 20 agents and me and one other sold 80 of the 98.
Yeah.
Something I left off in that story was like, all I was doing with those agents is I was hosting training once a week and I was doing onboarding. But I never was like grading their calls and giving them feedback and going on appointments with them.
There wasn't a lot of hand holding, so to speak.
Right. And, you know, I just like expected them to figure it out.
Yeah.
And my wife is telling me about the mystery shopping thing. And I'm like, man, well, you know, I learned later these huge property management companies. And like, I mean, anybody that's like in high ticket sales, like a big enterprise.
Yeah.
I mean, think like dealerships, like people selling home services, things like companies like that, like all their employees, they mystery shop, and like tens of millions of dollars. I had no idea how much money was spent on mystery shopping, but tens of millions of dollars get spent on mystery shopping employees so that you inspect what you expect. But most importantly, make sure that people are actually taking what they learn and putting it into place so that learning adaptation occurs.
That's right. Muscle memory, baby.
So, man, when all these teams came in to meet with me, like even after writing the book, it didn't like dawn on me that this like one simple piece to the puzzle was not happening for a lot of these teams. Like, and I think most brokerages and teams do a great job with onboarding and training, but they don't get into the weeds, like meaning like, and if they do get into the weeds, they only do it in the onboarding process. They don't do it in perpetuity.
Absolutely.
But the one thing I saw with all of these large enterprises that scaled to doing billions in sales is like they inspected what they expected. So they invested a lot of money in mystery shopping.
And if you think about it, that is essentially, let's say you as the business owner, you're protecting your investment. And it's twofold, because not only are you protecting your investment of the brand that you've built, the product that you're selling, the services that you provide, but you're also protecting the investment of that employee, that sales consultant, to carry out the standards, the best practices, the best way possible for them to not only capture and close this customer, but also get referrals from them in the long run. And there's something that I preach about quite often. It's from Todd Duncan. I still got Spurs on the brain. Todd Duncan, he talks about the high trust interview. And that is something that realtors, very few do that. Lenders, even fewer do it. But that, in my opinion, is the key to increasing that capture, because the customer needs to know that you give a crap about what they're actually doing. And at a certain point, you need to be that advisor based on what they've given you, not what you think. What you think doesn't matter until you know what their goals and their objections are.
Yeah, dude, you nailed it.
So yeah, no, I love the fact that you brought that up. Matter of fact, I'll add one more thing, is the idea of that ride along concept. I love it. It should actually be the other way around when these realtors first start. Whatever happened to that? I remember back in the day when we first got into the business, you had a lot of realtors that were willing to work for free to learn, meaning, hey, you've got an appointment. Hey, you've got a call that you're about to do. You've got a listing appointment. Can I go with you? And you're, as the onlooker, are getting nothing out of it that's necessarily tangible, but the bigger thing is the value that you're soaking up by doing that in repetition. You know, the concept is take what everybody else has done that you respect and know, and make it into your own, you know? So keep going, man. I'm loving this.
Well, the thing is like, I think that with like social media today, you know, you can watch YouTube videos and there's a lot you can learn. But learning adaptation happens by you actually doing it versus
Right. Muscle memory.
Right. And so after you give a listing presentation or buyer presentation or talk to a lead on the phone or whatever, you need somebody to tell you what you did right and what you did wrong.
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to go play for the Spurs in the NBA, which by the way, they crushed it last night.
They crushed it. Oh man, me and my son went. That was his first playoff game. He was losing his mind. It was awesome.
So like you're not going to get better shooting free throws unless you actually throw the free throw. You can watch somebody on YouTube do free throws all day long. You got to watch people do it all day long, but you eventually got to shoot those free throws yourself.
That's right.
And then when you shoot those free throws, ideally you have some coach watching you and telling you like what you're doing, right or wrong. And so, man, it's like our industry, the real estate industry and mortgage industry is not set up to have somebody like that's helping you at that degree.
Yeah.
So anyways, a huge game changer for us has been leveraging AI. We used to have, a 6-figure sales team lead, like do the ride-alongs, listen to the call recordings. And now you can literally have AI do it and give that instant feedback to an agent so they can self-discover, how to shoot that free throw better.
Exactly right.
So,
and by the way, I think I just put some setting on that if the pups bark in the background, we won't even be able to hear it. So you're golden. We'll test it, but you'll have to let me know if they are barking. And I'll say, yeah, we can hear it, or no, we can't, because it's just you now. Yeah, you're golden, man. So in real estate, let's just kind of sum up the last couple of minutes of this discussion thus far. In real estate, you started off with Keller Williams, grew your team, and grew the team to the point that you were almost pushed out. Everything well-oiled, running on its own, high producing. And you guys are in how many cities? Are you outside of Texas or still just in Texas?
Yeah, so we're across the U.S. and Canada. Yeah, so
awesome.
we have groups all over the United States and Canada.
And Canada, man, how do you guys sell mortgages in Canada? I met a loan officer at a trade show or some kind of masterminds not too long ago, and we were like speaking Chinese to English the way that they do their mortgages over there.
Yeah, it's like crazy different. Like mortgage is so different. Real estate's pretty similar, like the brokerage side.
Right.
But mortgage is like a totally different game there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's nuts.
Different.
So then at a certain point, you went, okay, everything's running, looking good. Actually, similar to myself, I kind of ventured over to the other side, just still looking at the business. We're still producing. Okay, I'm going to go take this extra money, so to speak, and I'm going to leverage it, invest it back into myself, into this vision that I have, which is LoanBot, now LoanBot AI Hub, Review My Mortgage, Consumer Direct Education. For you leverage that over to Tables OS. Let's talk about that, man. What is this thing?
Yeah, so I mean, like, we were trying to use ChatGPT and like Google Gemini,
okay,
to help the agents. One, they would get AI notes after their calls and after their face-to-face meetings, and the AI notes were pretty amazing, but like the coaching insights sucked, and like I didn't really understand. Like I heard this concept of AI slop and AI hallucinations, and I didn't really understand it until we literally had our agents doing this on every appointment. And I started like seeing that the coaching feedback was like not good. And so we created this mobile app and built it on the Google Gemini, a large learning model, but we programmed it with like thousands of hours of training content. And we also uploaded a grading rubric for how an appointment should go face-to-face with a buyer or seller, like what the scripting should be, the presentation, like what are the key things you have to be asking. And we started using it about 6 months ago, and it was a game changer. Our face-to-face conversion increased 30%. Our lead to appointment ratio improved. For anybody that maybe if you have ChatGPT, you could go fact check this.
Sure.
But if you take your face-to-face conversion from 40% to 53%, which is what happened to us, and your lead to appointment ratio from 15 to 1 to 10 to 1, your revenue doubles overnight. And that's exactly what happened to us.
Wow.
Like our agents were getting immediate feedback after every single call and after every single appointment. And they were kind of, self-discovering without me even telling them what they needed to be doing better. And I was getting copied on these like scorecards, it's kind of like getting mystery shopped, right?
Yeah.
And the mystery, and so like the scorecards would come back and it would tell the agent like, hey, you got into a dispute with the seller around commission. Next time, what you should do differently is spend more time going through your marketing plan and asking the seller preemptive close questions. Okay. And so like a really unique pattern that the AI has picked up on, like we have teams all over the US using this now. And there's agents across the country that have these like crazy high conversion rates. Like they're like unicorns. And what the AI figured out is they ask up to 7 pre-close questions. And what I mean by preemptive or pre-close questions is like, they'll be sitting in front of a seller and they say something like, hey, Mr. Seller, do you guys have a spare set of keys I can take for the lockbox? They'll ask the question like, hey, can I get my photographer in here as quickly as like Friday? Can we go ahead and put the for sale sign out there today? How fast can we get an open house schedule? Like they ask all these very assumptive, like pre-close questions, like as if they already are in the business. And so we noticed that like the conversion rates were the lowest with the people that only asked one time. And then there was this huge jump when people would ask 3 of these preemptive, like assumable type questions.
Sure.
These people that had these like crazy high conversion rates, I'm talking about agents that are earning like in like high 6 figures. They're earning crazy amounts of money. They would ask up to 7 of these pre-close type, presumptive close type questions. So that was like one interesting pattern that we picked up on. And so like the AI now, it tells agents like, hey, the seller said they were interviewing other agents. The seller said they needed to talk to their friend at church. The seller said their neighbor was selling home. Like it's heard thousands of face-to-face.
So now let me ask you, is it real time? Like they are on the call, they're going through it and then it's providing them feedback, or is it more of a coaching after it's done? Hey, this is what you could have done better, which at the end of the day, that's perfect because I love for people to fail and then fail forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the AI coaching insights come immediately after the appointment. So I guess if maybe it's funny, we've thought about that. Like, could you give an earpiece?
I would not do it that way. And here's why. I immediately think of the fact that whether you are a new realtor or a seasoned veteran realtor, if this thing is going to help you attract and capture more deals by way of the overcoming objections, inserting quality valuable questions or insight to whatever the response was or the prompt that they're giving, you're then going to start relying on this thing real time, and it's no longer you, if that makes sense. Whereas the way that you guys are doing it, it's giving the feedback, the realtor, brokers taking the feedback and able to make that their own, if that makes sense. And it doesn't sound like they're a robot, because if that was the case, they're better off just talking straight to the AI, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You nailed it, dude. Like that's what we saw firsthand with my team is they were like self-discovering.
Yeah.
They're like, shoot, like I've seen scorecards come across where the agent gets into a debate with the seller about pricing.
Okay. Very common. Yeah.
The AI coaching insight comes back, and I've literally seen this like so many times. And the seller will say, no, I want to list it at 300,000, this, that, or whatever. They give all these excuses. And the agent like just folds, says, okay, well, we'll list at that price. The AI coaching insight will come back and say, next time when the seller says, I want to list my house for this, come back and ask them, for example, Mr. Seller, if you were a buyer for this home and like, I was touring you houses in the neighborhood and I showed you this house, and I showed you this house sold, like, what would you be willing to pay for your house if you were? So the key like takeaway is like, try to get the seller to go through discovery to have their own epiphany around price.
That's right.
Get them to like visualize themselves as the buyer of this house, looking at this specific, market data. Commissions is like another big objection. And like, I'll see AI coaching insights that say something like to the agent, hey, next time ask the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, do you see how this in my marketing plan is going to help sell your home faster? Do you see how this is going to help you sell for more money? So it'll, anytime it picks up on all of the typical objections, agent's going to get. And then it's, again, after the appointment, it's telling the agent what they can do to improve to prevent that from happening again. And most of the agents are significantly increasing conversion, which significantly increases their paycheck.
That's right.
30% increase in your conversion rate face-to-face could equal $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in your pocket.
Real money. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Just because you won more at bats at the kitchen table.
Yeah, man. No, that's good stuff. I mean, the idea of leveraging AI in this capacity is very niche, but also very valuable. Now, let me ask you, have you guys considered, and the reason why it came up was yesterday, or every 2 weeks, I go on News 4 SA Living as the Alamo City mortgage expert. And yesterday, I'm like, man, I tell people to use AI all the time. I use it every day throughout the day, but I've never really used it for role playing. So yesterday I threw in the segment that I was supposed to be going over and literally just talked to my chat GPT as if it was the host of the show a couple of times. And after I was done, it was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for the lights now. I'm ready for live. Let's go, And I don't think people know how impactful that actually is.
Yep. Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that. We actually have an AI avatar. It's like a visual, it's like a 3D rendering.
Okay.
You can role play with the avatar to help overcome these objections. So the next time you go face to face with somebody, you don't get tongue tied. And so you can do it whether you're trying to improve your conversion on the phone. So when a lead comes in, you increase your chances of meeting that stranger face to face.
Yeah.
Or you can role play, like, for example, commission objections, pricing objections. Another really cool, I saw a scorecard come back and this agent, basically shut down when the seller said that they had 3 other agents they were interviewing. The AI coaching insight said, next time tell the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, as a service to you, I'm happy to call those agents on your behalf. So you don't have to waste 15 to 20 hours meeting with those other agents. And by the way, I'll tell them that if they bring a buyer, they can still get half the commission.
Wow.
And that was the AI insight.
Strong. Yeah. That was the AI suggestion.
That was the AI suggestion. Yeah.
That's strong. Wow.
Call and cancel the appointments on the seller's behalf and offer that as a solution, because the seller feels guilty because they don't want to do it themselves, but they also don't want to spend 15, 20 hours, with 3 other agents.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Especially after the idea of COVID and everything else, people are less inclined to have strangers in their home, realtor or not, Yeah. So you're right. Yeah. I mean, people do business with those that they like, know, and trust. And how do you get them to like you? Well, you be yourself, and hopefully that's good enough. How do you get them to trust you? Know your shit, to be honest. Yeah. And then essentially utilizing this in your everyday life with all of now, let me ask you, how broad of a span does Table OS cover? Is it from soup to nuts type concept to where we can coach you automatically after the fact in every facet of what you do as a realtor? Because this is reminding me a lot of an AI version of a book that I read called Procrastinate on Purpose. And then there's one before that was Take the Stairs. And essentially it's listing, it empowers you to list all the things that it takes for you to be successful in your role, whatever that role may be, whether it's a realtor, broker, lender, etc. And then take that through a focus funnel and determine what can be eliminated, what can be automated, what can be delegated. Anything that's left, you have to do. So even those things that it's you left to do, the face-to-face phone calls, the overcoming objections, the getting in front of a home seller and providing the best listing presentation that you can possibly muster up, I would imagine that this increases the level of that dramatically, especially if those are the only things that they're having to focus on now. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like our, prior to us having this tool, we spent so much money and time on training.
Yeah.
And what's crazy now is like, AI is so objective, right? There's no feelings.
That's right.
And so previously, it was very easy for somebody to feel, resentful because they're constantly getting critiqued.
Sure.
But with the AI insights, it's like so objective. Like the agents don't take it personally.
You can't.
Right?
That's right. You can be mad at this machine.
Right.
I love that.
The biggest, I mean, there's been so many like cool like things that have happened as a result of this. Like one, the resentment level between like a sales leader and the salesperson is so much better. The other thing is like our sales leaders, they see common themes where like people across the board are like missing the mark on certain things. And so like now my sales leaders are like coaching the things that have the biggest impact. So like when they host team meetings and they see common occurrences across agents, like their meetings are so much more impactful. The other really cool thing that has come out of this is like, this is basically like an AI note taker on steroids for real estate because it's like trained on what to listen for. Like it recognizes things related to
got my Claude running right now.
Dude, I've got the same thing.
There you go.
Like we tested the Plod, right? And so like the thing is like the Plod brain doesn't like disseminate the information and give it to you exactly how you need it in real estate. So like, for example, as a realtor, the things you want to know, for example, about somebody you're going to help sell their house, like you need to know, like, is this person really, qualified to sell? Like, do they really want to sell? Like anybody listening to this, I'm sure has been in a position where they've taken on a seller that like really wasn't that motivated to sell.
Absolutely.
And so the AI is like listening for that objectively. And so it's listening for red flags, and our AI insights will give red flags that say, hey, this seller isn't that motivated. They said in the transcript that if they don't get this price, they're not going to sell. And if they don't move to Florida, it's really not that big of a deal. And so it's this huge red flag on the user interface that says the probability of this deal selling is, like 50%, right? So there's this like probability score for each of our listing appointments in the activity feed. And it tells you like,
And let me ask you, the probability score that you came up with, was that something that you guys put together based on market data, research, et cetera? Or did you allow the AI to come up with it based on true data that you guys have fed it?
So we fed it like hundreds of deals that had failed to sell, hundreds of deals that the listing didn't get signed, deals that did get signed. And we asked it to like recognize the patterns and all of these things, and then help us make sure that, we don't make the mistake of taking on a listing that's going to fail to sell. Not make the mistake of overpricing something, not make the mistake of taking on a listing where the seller doesn't qualify for a short sale. And by the way, they don't have the equity or the cash to be able to do what it takes to get the property ready to sell. So it's, again, it's like, it's looking for like, kind of like impact zone one. It's like, is this seller really motivated and qualified to sell? Because like not all people are. What if they bought the house 2 years ago and they put no money down and they have a job, they don't qualify for a short sale? Like, dude, if that's a huge, like, don't take that listing. You're going to waste time and money, and it's going to make you look bad. You might get a negative review. So that's kind of like impact.
Even more so, and I don't mean to butt in, but even more so, there are many times that you shouldn't take the listing. Yes, but that doesn't mean you can't inject some value into that seller or potential down the road seller in their world,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's better to like walk away from the listing and take one, it's going to fail to sell. And so you're there, just leave a positive, lasting impression of like, what they can do when the time is right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, like the AI is trained to like know exactly what to look for. How qualified are they? It's like scanning the transcripts for anything related to property risk. So think like the seller's disclosure notice. Yeah. Like, are there big red flags that's going to make the house, for example, not qualify for financing? Or it'll like red flag when you like forget to ask questions about the property. It'll red flag things when you start talking about like pricing, and the seller might talk about their financial goals, and it's the AI analyzes and says like, there's no way in hell this seller is going to get the amount of money they want, which means they're not going to have enough cash to go buy the next house. And so either they need to be okay with renting their next house and selling their current one if they really want to make it, possible. And by the way, Mr. Agent, you didn't ask them that question. And so there's like, this big red flag on the,
That's
on
right.
Phone. So I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but
no, man, that's good stuff. And I'm happy that we were able to talk about this to get this out to more agents, because this is something that is absolutely necessary, in my opinion, after hearing exactly what it is that many brokers can't provide their agents with. Number one, not all of them have the time. With the idea of everything being so spread out and virtual these days, you're not having in-person meetings as often as you used to. And then additionally, how much time does that broker, that coach, et cetera, have to listen on every phone call, listen on every instance that they're there? Because guaranteed, as a coach myself to loan officers and realtors, there's always 2 cents that we can provide. Whether they could have knocked it out of the park, we're still going to give them 2 cents because there's always ways to improve. I know that's just how we roll. Because it wasn't us making the call, obviously, perfect. Yeah. But no, I love this. And I love the fact that you are embracing technology the way that you are, whereas you've got another group of realtors, and I'd like to kind of shift for the next, let's say 5-10 minutes so we can close this out, to the idea of the resistance or lack thereof that you're seeing in the real estate community regarding AI, artificial intelligence, utilizing it as a tool. How do you feel about that? And the reason why I ask is you've got a pretty solid perspective, both from a creator, user, and then also now seeing it from selling it to realtors and getting the feedback from what they say as to why they're not or want to use this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Man, first off, so the for people that want to learn about it, it's called RealSync, and it's spelled SYNCH. And if you go to the website right now, as of the filming of today, like we don't even have the AI sales coaching functionality on the website. We have, we're taking on custom beta customers for free.
Okay.
It's got to be a team that's spending like a significant amount of money on lead generation. Mm-hmm. Like we have teams that put this in place, and they go from making $500,000 a month in commission dollars to $1 million. So like we're looking for teams where we can have this like really dramatic impact. Now, I'm not saying it won't have a dramatic impact if you're selling 3 to 4 homes. I mean, it will. Instead of selling 3 to 4 homes, you'll sell, 5 or 6 or 7 homes a month, maybe more, maybe 8, 9. That's actually another really cool thing that came out of the AI insights is like it starts identifying like lead sources that are complete garbage.
Yeah, I would imagine it would.
So anyways, somebody that's got a team that spends a lot of money on advertising can see like, 6 and 7 figure, differences in like their real commission dollars earned to the business. Like the amount of money is pretty significant. So we're giving it to teams for at no cost to just use it. We got it approved on the Android and iOS store back in February. But, back to AI, I think there's a new model is rising in the real estate space. And what you've heard about since the late 90s with Gary Keller.
Is this the RealSync that you were talking about so folks can see it?
Yeah, so that's like all the user interface stuff. So that's like all the analytics.
Gotcha.
What you're looking at is all the the analytics related to conversion rates.
Okay, and I'll have a link to this, everybody listening, in the description so you guys can have quick access to everything that Chris is talking about here. Go for it, brother. Yeah.
So anyways, the new model that I see coming up in the industry is what I would call as the enterprise model. And it's the next iteration of what Gary Keller talked about in the $1 Million Real Estate Agent. Okay. And the reason I believe the enterprise model is now something small businesses can achieve is because with agentic AI, you can hire people that are like head of sales, head of marketing, head of operations, and they can leverage tools like Claude Cowork and other autonomous AI agents that can represent 10, 15, 20, 30 people within just their department. But for your real estate business, instead of having to go hire 20 to 30 employees underneath that one head of sales or head of marketing, you just hire that head person. And so the future is this enterprise model with this very talented leadership team of subject matter experts that then build an army of AI agents doing tasks autonomously. And like, this sounds like, it's out of a sci-fi movie, but we're doing this now. So like
Same here.
We don't
Same here.
We put stuff in the MLS using AI agents. We, set everything up using AI agents now, like in every department, whether it's marketing, sales, inside sales, like, we've been able to, cut our VA team by like 80%.
Wow. That's impressive.
Our listing agents are selling between 70 and 120 homes per year. My transaction coordinators can do over 300 closings per year per TC. Wow. And so our labor efficiency ratios, all of our costs are going way down. Like, the future is an enterprise model. And with agentic AI, the possibilities are endless. And so really the thing you have to really hone in on that's not going to be eliminated is the, what people call the belly to belly sales, like getting face to face with someone. Right.
Right.
So the best use case to improve that is digesting those face to face meetings, the audio, and then, giving it to
fine-tuning them, taking the advice and implementing. And what's the worst that can happen? You already failed on that one. So now take the advice. Let's see if you fail again.
Exactly. So I think what's really cool is, like, I bet over the next decade, there are real estate teams that transform in these enterprises, and they're not selling 3, 4, 500 homes. They start selling 30,000 homes, 50,000 homes, 100,000 homes. Like, they get to the point where they're selling as many homes as these brokerages with 100,000 plus agents with a fraction of the number of people. Yeah. And so this enterprise model is it's like this, it's happening right now as we film this today. Like, this is emerging, and this will be the future. So the faster people get on the AI bus, the faster they're going to be able to take advantage of, what's to come.
Absolutely. I've got one last question that came up while you were saying that. And that is from the aspect of the team owner, the brokers of the world that are going to start utilizing these things to become more efficient, to increase their margins, so to speak, or get back the margins that they were used to making back in the day. How do you see this from a customer consumer front facing side in regards to savings? Because let's be real, if the processes become more streamlined, the tasks that are normally done by a human are being more efficiently done by the AI. I would imagine that also leads to a backdoor allowing you guys, or at least the ones that are using it, to pretty much undercut everybody in the market by saying, you know what, they're charging 3, 4, 5, 6%. We're going to do it for X%, and we're going to do a better job. And you're going to tell more people, and that's how we do our business model type concept.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing
or
is,
am I crazy? I
mean, here's my perspective on, like, commissions, right? It's like, a couple years ago, there was this huge lawsuit around commissions, right?
We love NAR.
Yes. Buyer agent commissions and all this stuff. And, I think all these attorneys were like, yeah, we're going to drive down commissions and all these things. And, we're at an all-time low for, like, the number of for sale banners that successfully happen.
Mm-hmm.
We're at an all-time high for the number of people that call agents sell their home. And we are one of the lowest paid industries on a contingency fee.
Good point. I love that you added that part. Yep.
If you study, like, all of the contingency based industries, we literally get paid the smallest percentage of any contingency type industry. Like,
and we're comparing that to attorneys. We're comparing that to, when you say contingency, meaning I have to produce something or I don't get paid.
That's right. And so, like, it's interesting, these iBuyers came out, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to drive the fees of the iBuyer thing down to less than the commissions. And billions and billions and billions of dollars were lost because they realized that's not possible.
Right.
People have been trying to suppress agent commissions now for decades and decades, and the discount models keep failing. And the iBuyers lost billions trying to figure it out, and they couldn't. And then even after this like massive lawsuit, where I think all of these conniving attorneys were trying to figure out like how to decrease costs to homeowners, which I appreciate. But there's been no changes. The average commission rate that sellers are paying has not changed by, some crazy amount of money.
No,
Like
it hasn't. Not.
And so it's like God, it's like every decade, it's like, people have to be retold that like, one, we get paid on contingency. Two, this is actually a relatively really low contingency rate relative to every other industry. And there are a lot of upfront expenses of being an agent and taking contingency pay. And there's a lot of risks. Like, for example, transaction count the last 3 years in the state of Texas is down 50%. Most people, like in most industries, like who would survive if the number of deals happening dropped 50%?
It'd be a tough one to find somebody that could. You're right.
And then NAR posted the numbers, 72% of realtors sold 0 homes last year.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not, it's like interesting. Like, I know this might sound counterintuitive, but like reducing the commissions is going to reduce the quality of the level of service, and most importantly, the outcome to the seller. Because like if I decrease the company's gross revenue,
right,
try to use that as a competitive advantage, the indirect thing that happens to me is I put a proverbial ceiling on my revenue, which then creates a proverbial ceiling on the quality of the people I can hire.
That's right.
Because really high quality people want to make as much money as humanly possible. So for example, you're trying to build an enterprise model and your revenue goes down because you're like, oh, I'm going to make this discount model and I'm going to make, I'm going to try to take market share doing this. Well, the quality of your leadership talent that I described earlier, where you have these like head of sales, head of marketing, head of operations, like, again, you're not going to be able to afford the best of the best talent if you're, undercutting your revenue.
And I think that NAR lawsuit really brought all of what you're saying to the forefront and made it unignorable. You cannot ignore the fact that if you hire someone for 1% to sell your home and hire someone for 3% to sell your home, who do you think is going to work harder to get that commission? I mean, it's human nature.
I mean, just and forget about working hard, right? Like you could take a brand new agent that's desperate for business and they'll work 80 hours a week, right? But do you want to hire the person that'll work 80 hours a week, but they're going to take left turn after left turn after left turn after left turn, and just they're going to run you in circles? Or would you rather hire the person that has sold hundreds and hundreds of houses? They're a subject matter expert, and you don't have the risk of the house failing to sell. Like, when you think about the commissions relative to the risk of the expenses that can come up if your property fails to sell, which expireds across the United States are like skyrocketing.
That's right.
Like, think about the cost to the homeowner if a property fails to sell. They get stuck with 2 mortgages. They have to move twice. They don't get to take that job opportunity where they make a bunch of money. Let's say, for example, they're, God forbid, facing foreclosure. They just lost all the equity in their house. Like the costs, the actual like financial burden of the home sale not going good is exponentially higher than the amount of money the agent's earning. If the agent does it,
you're on the money. Wow. Yeah, man. Wow. This has been a refreshing conversation, because let's start in the beginning, from you and your real estate journey. It sounds like a lot of folks can relate to that. Being fired from here, and now you're going to go off to work for yourself, et cetera. Then leveraging into taking everything that you've learned to provide something that can truly improve our industry as a whole, individual and as a whole. And now bringing this stuff to light, man, I'm impressed, and I'm very grateful that we had this conversation. I appreciate you reaching out to do this. Truly. Is there anything else that you want to kind of leave our listeners with? Just know, guys, listening, there will be a link to in the description for getting to tableos.ai. That'll be there. We will put, Chris, how do people get a hold of you? Just turn on the radio?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't live in Texas, I'd say, you just look me up on Instagram, send me a DM on Instagram. It's just Christopher Waters. And shoot me a DM on Instagram. I gave you the link. People can get the book if they want to get a copy of the book for free. I wrote it 8 years ago. Again, there's a lot of things I would change, especially now with like how much tech has changed over the past 2 years. And, like the thing I would leave with everybody is, dude, our industry has been around a long time. Yeah. Like the National Association of Realtors was formed in 1908. Wow. And so there have been a lot of people that have walked before us and have gotten super rich and have had a lot of success. And I know I'm not, for anybody listening, I know I'm not the first person to say this, but it's like, if at any moment in time you feel like you're either trying to reinvent the wheel or you like don't know what you should be doing when you wake up, like, dude, the biggest piece of advice I can get is like, go get a coach to help you. And I'm not here selling coaching. I do have a AI sales coaching platform and like that, but I'll be honest, it's only for helping you improve conversion. Like if you don't know how to build a business, for example, like my AI sales coaching thing is not going to help you. Like if you don't know about lead generation, like where to go spend money for leads, my AI sales coaching platform, it'll probably tell you like when your lead sources suck, but like you can't give you an education on marketing. So
I love it. It's honest, at least.
My point is like, man, like coaches can literally change your life. There's been so many people that have such a big impact on my life, and I'm so grateful for them. And so that's the greatest secret. And the one thing I hope is for anybody listening to this that's waking up guessing what they should be doing when they, go about their day. Like, what are their key activities? Like, what should they be doing? Like, dude, I know everybody's heard this. Like, go find somebody that is where you want to be and like do whatever you can to like get next to them, to learn from them and to follow in their footsteps. Like, go get in somebody's, ecosystem that has literally walked the walk. Like not someone that says up on stage talking and, is, a great salesperson or whatever. Go connect with someone that's like been there and done it and has the battle wounds of like all the stuff you don't want to do, so you can learn from their mistakes. So those are my final words, man.
Well, I love that you said that because I echo that quite often on this podcast. And that is the concept of continue to work yourself into different rooms. And those different rooms, you'll find that the people that are above you, the people that have been there, done that, have the battle scars like Chris is talking about here, they're more than willing to share the idea behind asking questions. Hey man, that's on you. Ask questions and see if you get the answers. They're going to give you an answer. May not be the answer you wanted to hear, but chances are it's going to be based off of experience and their own lived experience. Chris, I appreciate you joining me on this, man. That was a pretty solid conversation. You dropped a ton of nuggets on our listeners. And for those of you out there listening, our promise to you is to continue to bring you valuable guests, just like Christopher Waters here, and be transparent. Real Estate AF, where real estate meets finance and gives you the real stuff. Other than that, guys, we will catch you on the next one.
Every day, look at yourself in the mirror and ask, did I get better today? Monday, get better. Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better. If you do that for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, how much better will you be? Are you getting better every single day? That's the real question. And it all comes down to taking small steps. You don't have to accomplish everything in one day or even one